What is up, guys? Wraith here, Graybearded Gaming Society, and we are about to see if this is going to work. So, I played a lot this afternoon, so you can see flashing on the screen right now, basically flashing up there that we did ding level 7. We've been running around, the same spot right here in Caños Hills. We were, farming this afternoon, or grinding, I should say, having a pretty decent time. We've managed to stay away from the bigger troubles of the zone so far, which we're passing both of them right now, which I made a pretty good comment about both of those two, which of course are the Rangers, well, mostly Holly Windstalker. She's the one that came mostly in the area that we were in the most. And then I believe I charged a piercing loot pinata in progress, but he's got one of those really heavy scythes, so we kind of dodged off of that one, just because they're not worth a ton and they're super heavy. I mean, had that been like a crack staff, we would have been all over it, just because it's worth almost a plat. We don't get quite a plat because our faction's not obviously super spiffy cool, but we still do. We still do okay. But one of the things that we had been doing, of course, was blowing up anything and everything that got around us. So we decided to head over towards BlackBurrow, and we actually got. Those were the two that we were primarily after. These two are the ones that are camped all the time. These the little lookout watcher guys, like the Knoll Watchers. And when we first got here, it was pretty cool because there was nobody else around. And most times, like I said, every time we've come over here to kind of check things out, there's always been somebody right here. Because of course we have, there's gnolls by the door, a couple that spawn by the door. Generally, they're a little bit on the smaller side. We said there's one, we're conning it now, and that guy was only green. But when we get up to the other guys over here, they're a mix of dark blue and green. Sometimes we get double dark blues. Sometimes it was only the greens. But what we were kind of doing right here is kind of digging around for a good space. Where's a good space to set up camp, if you will. Knowing that generally speaking, we didn't know the pathing where everything was, so we were kind of looking around, just kind of seeing, how kind of everything was going. We didn't want to get in a fight situation we couldn't handle. And then that happened. And that was a full-on pucker. Because for a second we thought it was just a bear. But you can see from the con right there, that's actually like the rabid grizzly bear thing, which spawns anywhere from, I think, level 7 to level 10 is what we figured out when we had looked it up. And again, I apologize for like the overdubbing thing. Literally, I did all of this recording. I had everything set. I was going to come back this evening and do all of my editing to get everything posted, and realized for some reason that my mic device got disconnected from my recording software, which kind of went boom. But basically what we went ahead and decided to do, we split away from the others, and we're like, all right, what we're going to do here is we are just going to try to split these guys up. So we're going to try to kill this first guy super fast, who was the bigger of the two, because the other thing we kind of thought about was if we can just get him out of the way, since he will be the toughest one, even if we have to kind of just inch it out on the second one, he should be green. We should have a little bit of an easier time. So we knocked him out pretty quick, and our route held for quite a good time, probably because we weren't also, shooting him in the face the whole time. But then we were, right on cue. We get this one knocked down, and then here comes his friend, and again, this one's green, so we had, much easier time kind of with this guy. But that was kind of, like I said, what we're kind of aiming for. We moved over here, we wanted to get the gnolls. We were trying to split the two watchers because we thought they would be the two biggest ones. And again, we were keeping constant tabs on that bear. No one kind of figuring out where that bear kind of passed through the area, because he would be an immediate problem. Because again, we had the wiki up, and I actually looked it up and wikied that guy. And he spawns anywhere from, like I said, from level 7 to 10, so we can even us all the way to red, and that one is max level that he's actually going to get to. So our plan is if we could get kind of up this hill far enough where we could keep tabs on the guys behind us, stay out of the path of the bear, and then be able to use like our long distance pull and kind of keep the watchers separated, so we can handle them one at a time, pull them back to us. That was kind of the strategy, pretty much. And again, because these guys down here, a couple of them spawn and kind of sit still, some of them kind of move around. But one of the things that we had commented on kind of a handful of times is there had always been people over here in this area. It's a pretty good little spot to be, especially when somebody's kind of looking for faction. And you can see right there on the screen, like I was commenting on, if things go bad, while we are not near a guard tower, so to speak, we're really close to a zone. Now, granted, when you have to run through that zone, right, you have to run through the dog's mouth thing to get to BlackBurrow. But as long as you watch out for the teeth and don't get snagged up on the teeth, which unfortunately kind of can happen on occasion. But there we go. So if things get really bad, we can run away. It should not be the end of the known universe. And there are a lot of things in this area that we notice pretty quick. We still have some of the bigger bats. There's wolves. Got to watch out for those because, of course, most of them are green. There's a couple now that'll be blue. Have to watch out for the rabid specimens. And then we also have, so there's the decaying skeletons, and there was also a larger skeleton, which I'm struggling to remember the name of now, which, later on we actually end up zapping the guy. But one of the things that we noticed kind of quickly in this spot, where we thought it was kind of going to be our area for bait, because it was so quiet at first when we got here. But as you can tell, like, we killed gnolls over there, we killed stuff on the way here. No one else was around. We were, basically super all to ourselves. Everything was just fine. And then out of nowhere, we ended up with a lot of random company that we kind of weren't expecting. So in the meantime, we were just getting comfortable where we were at. We're like, these guys are a little bit small. We'll pull with a long distance blast, and then we'll pull things up the top. Because one thing that we decided is that on top of just getting kind of some faction, so the people in Canos like us a little more, the other thing that we looked at was we actually wikied some of the quests. So the Nullfangs are a relatively easy quest turn-in, that we can turn those guys in for moonstones, and then technically you can turn those in again for, I believe it was BlackBurrow Stout. Again, I probably should have brought up the wiki just kind of quote off what I was, some of the research that I'd done earlier. But we looked at it basically just free ways to get more faction and more experience. Even if the experience is kind of on the small side, it should anything to make us more well liked, I should say. So while we're not horrible where we're at, we're not amazing either. So anything that'll get our prices a little bit better. One thing we did notice pretty quick about sitting in this spot though is since there's always something moving right around us, you constantly hear footsteps. So we were a little bit antsy for a little while, but we also stayed pretty scrolled back so we could see when things were kind of coming up behind us. And again, we were trying to keep tabs on where that bear was coming and going from, just so he didn't run up on us, because we did not want to have to worry about him too much. But one thing that was actually really kind of interesting is one of the things, like just on our way over when we were shooting stuff, we were just zapping some of the gnolls, just the wandering gnolls in the area, and we came across, we were pulling one of the gnolls, and he pathed by a decaying skeleton, and the decaying skeleton jumped in on the fight, and for lack of a better way to put it, kind of tried to kill steal us. We were like, that was kind of the strangest thing that we had ever seen. We had not noticed that at all in any of the other times that we've been out here doing. So we were like, all right, we'll show you that snippet. We actually took the snippet of it, so we'll jump that on the end of this just so kind of everybody can see it. And this is where things started to get interesting for us, because we've been here out by ourselves. We killed the 2 watchers. We've killed some guys behind us. And here comes a little necro guy. And first thing he does is come up here and challenge the bear. And we were already concerned. Now, he was decently sized compared to us. He was bigger than us. But we were like, all right, at this time we were definitely researching how big the bear was and seeing what was behind us in case we had to bail out. And then we were like, all right, we think this guy's got it. Let's, we'll pull some stuff, see what kind of fight we can do on our own. Like, if he wanted to challenge the bear, he should be able to handle said bear. And then what we kind of promptly found out here was that, kablow! I can't help it, even when I'm just going back and narrating over. So we turned back around. Now our necro friend is running for his life. As the bear is right behind him. So he is going to zone that bad boy. This one got the best of him. We had actually made a comment right here to see, does Holly actually aggro off that bear, which apparently she did not, so she did not jump in the fray. But one of our concerns now, of course, is you watch the bear jump up and over, and then we turn around and off to the side. Here's another, smaller player. This one, I believe she's an erudite, but she's got a wolf beating on her, so I don't know whether she went AFK or what happened. We didn't notice her there before. We were actually curious if Holly was going to go jump on her too, but Holly ignored her, so I guess maybe the distance, but maybe just far enough away where Holly decided not to go smack her around. We basically left them alone. We were like, as much as we want to kind of jump in and help on everything, here comes the big bear again, and now she's got both of them. So this just things just kind of went from bad to worse for this person. Because again, for the longest time, I don't know whether they were trying to raise skill with the little wolf and didn't think it was a threat, or whether they had to AFK, thought they were in a safe spot and they weren't. But now she's got both of them thumping on her. So we observed for a minute, and we were kind of like, we kind of wanted to help, but we were like, that bear will take us out. And one of our spawns just happened who's blue to us. So we're going to have to focus on a little bit of business here, and we're going to go back to nuking what we came here to get, which are our big guys, and try to kind of keep them separated, because if they're one at a time, we didn't have too many problems. And there's the one that spawned right after we pulled this one, so our timing was quite perfect in keeping them separated, which was kind of nice. And then here comes somebody else on the side, so we start backing up just to make sure that we don't get a bunch of aggro on us. At the same time, turn, look wide, where's the bear? We see in the distance, the bear has now finished off that other person because they are dead on the hillside, and now the bear is back to wandering its standard path. So, again, we managed to stay away from the bear, stay away from the wanderer, and get keep our guys kind of split. And again, some of these guys came in as blue, which was nice, and some of them were green, but either one is still getting like the null teeth, the experience hand in, and we're still getting the faction. And this is when we noticed that one of the skeletons that was walking near us, you can see the dark blue con there. One of the skeletons is actually a putrid skeleton in the area who was quite a bit bigger. Gone blue to us, wasn't gigantic. We actually try our luck with those guys a little bit later, and it's smack right in the back of the head. This is where if you get too far back, you get kind of the random roamer behind you. Because normally if we're a little far forward, he just ignores us altogether. This guy just got close enough, and he was only green, so he was no big deal. Still worth faction, and still worth one of the teeth. So we kind of made quick work of this little guy, and then had to decide. We're kind of getting heavy with some of this stuff. Which loots are worth keeping, which loots are not worth keeping. And then we're also kind of watching ourselves around. It's like, all right, we know that the bear is out of the way. We know some of this other stuff is out of the way. So let's kind of set up in our spot for a little bit and just kind of see really how we do. Let's med back up. And that was kind of our big thing right here. Was let's just let's see how things go for us for a bit, and kind of report back in later. And here's the snippet footage, like I said, from that really weird. So unfortunately, guys, let's say we were still back to having to kind of narrate our own video here instead of going with the footage we had. Like I said, one of the things that we actually found out while camping in this space, again, when our little necro buddy is back and he's running around, and we went and blurred out the window, started chatting with him kind of back and forth. But the spawn for that bear, and I don't know if it's shared amongst different bear spawns, but apparently one of them is 20 yards in front of us. Because we noticed a handful of times that is where our little buddy, the bear, popped out at, and would just start wandering around in the circle. Apparently, he runs almost like a racetrack style loop, and would run off and kind of do his thing. But again, like I said, one of the big takeaways I said from this time around was we managed to stay in the spot pretty good for quite a while. Like I said, he was taking care of some of the big stuff. Like I said, we chatted kind of back and forth, and I'm probably going to cut this one a little short rather than try to narrate kind of the whole thing. We started letting quite a bit of the loot kind of rot, simply because dealing with weight issues in the middle of nowhere, with kind of nowhere to sell it. And yes, we could gate right back over to Kanios and be just fine. But the problem was, of course, with other people kind of moving into the area, we wanted to somewhat kind of maintain our presence, really, for lack of a better way to put it. And this time around, as you can see, like, so we're gearing up now, like that the putrid skeleton, I believe it was, the dark blue guy, got close to us again. So we took out our vengeance for the first skeleton that we'd ever tried to fight earlier in our lives. And we were honestly kind of concerned for a minute, because we do know that some of the undead are known to pack a pretty good wallop, but we did really well against this guy, which was pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty much a standard, just kind of blasted him down. And then one of the things that we did kind of notice, really, and again, I think it's partly because this is not really a camp, if you will. It's not a spot where you can call camping this area, right? I mean, there's too many people that come and go. It is kind of a high traffic area. So while we're trying to pull and kill stuff in the area, so is he. One of the things that we kind of chatted about a little bit later, kind He actually has worse faction than me because he is a necro. So I mean, honestly, my faction is a little bit higher. So he's doing the same thing I'm doing. He's trying to get some experience. He's trying to get some faction. He's trying to get the teeth. Just so we can kind of fill in what he's doing. He was bigger than us, and he wasn't necessarily trying to give us any trouble. He's just doing what he does as we were trying to do our little thing. I kind of struggle now, honestly, because probably one too many glasses of wine at this point to remember exactly what it was I was talking about here. But we'll just say that I was going with something very deep and insightful, and yeah, that's about it. I think at one point we did Google like some of the other quests in the area. We were looking on the wiki. We already had like the fangs. We knew we were going to mess around with the fangs for a little bit, and then we had also looked at like the Knoll patch of fur things, and those really kind of weren't worthwhile. So those were kind of boo whatever. And then we also had there's a couple of the kind of folks that chill in the corner. There's like a random camp of people in the corner, the Miller's camp. And then one of them has like the bear hide quest, and one of them has the wolf hide quest. And we looked at those for a second and kind of compared them. We do have like one of the bear hides technically to be able to do it. And while it is slightly more armor class than we have now, one of the things that we'd have to look out for with some of it is just the weight, unfortunately. Cause like the bear hide boots, they're 5 AC, they're not bad, but they do weigh 2.5. And the cape is another one. It's like 6 AC, no stats, just AC. Still not bad, but it's also another 2.5 pounds. And we have to be careful with our weight because as a wizard, we are not exactly packing a whole bunch of weight in the muscles department. So we get weighted down really, really quickly. And then we discussed kind of some of the Googling and some of these other parts that we were actually actively looking up while we were meditating. And then a few of the things, like I said, we had to decide what to keep, what not to keep, just because we were getting so heavy we were already encumbered. And again, overall, the spot wasn't too bad. Like I said, we got our level. The experience moved a little bit. We basically committed ourselves to next time around we're going to try to dip into BlackBurrow and see what we can do there and how all of that goes. Again, we had a couple of issues back and forth where the Necro and I were trying to go after the same mob, but we chatted everything out. Everything was cool. Like I said, he was a good dude. Just trying to do kind of the same thing we are, right? He really wasn't getting much experience, but he was really working to try to get that faction. So, I mean, there's I said absolutely zero hate on the guy there for doing what he needed to do. But, and one of the things we mentioned just really quick was, are we going to branch out into the new EverQuest TLP? Of course, they're launching the new TLP, the Mischief server, which is going to have kind of your standard TLP rules in terms of, it's going to start on Classic. It's going to go through, your expansions. It's going to be a true box server, so no box, things like that. So it'll just be one toon. But it's going to have a really weird kind of loot system. So we were curious about that because it's going to be basically random loot within level range, right? So if you're killing a named, if you're killing whatever, you might run into and here's, by the way, this is actually, if you look at the background, this is what started the conversation between the Necro and I. I went to blast something. He had killed something that's in his pet after it. So we kind of jockeyed back and forth for it. Again, not really trying to be, neither one of us was trying to be, an ass about it, really. We were just trying to, everybody's trying to do their own thing. I mean, this what is, like I said, we chatted for probably a good half an hour, 45 minutes afterwards. Just about what was going on, what we were kind of trying to do, things like that. He was a good guy, and at no point did anything kind of, like I said, right in there get ridiculous. So that was fine. But we chatted a little bit, like I said, about the new TLP coming out. Would that be something anybody would be interested in seeing? Should we make a character over there? At the same time, it's like if we do, we probably wouldn't do it as a 9Lives character per se, but just to kind of check out to see how the random mischief loot thing is going to be. Because again, like I said, we play here on P99. I still play on live. I run groups on live. I run on some of the TLPs. If some folks would be interested in seeing that, maybe I could add that too, or maybe kind of split time and see how it goes. But as always, like I said, I want to hear from the community. So, my standard. As always, if you like what we're doing, right, please don't forget to like, comment, maybe subscribe down below. We do love to hear from everybody, especially on instances like this. I mean, would it be worthwhile to jump, you think, over the TLP just to check out Mischief? Is it something you're going to be doing on your own when it comes around? But with that, we were going to go ahead and sign off for the week. Said I'm sorry. I'm hoping that this comes out as good when I edit as it did when I felt like it first recorded, and I'm sure that my dubs are never going to be as great as running my mouth the first time around. But I think that'll be it for this time. We'll go ahead and clip this guy off just a hair early. But as always, guys, until next time, stay safe, stay distant. Hey, stay in EverQuest, man, because again, even with the little boo-boo that we had right here, everything turned out really awesome. He was a nice guy, and we chatted for, like I said, a good half an hour, so it was good times. But we will catch you guys next time, guys. Good night.